Hey, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Sarah Sperber and I am a realtor in the Northern Nevada market. On today's video, we're going to be talking about a very important topic, and that is red flags for listing agents. So, if you're thinking about selling your home, you're going to want to pay attention to these and make sure that you don't fall victim to any of these red flags. And of course, if you stay till the end, I'm going to give you the biggest red flag. Make sure that you watch through the entire thing. The first one I want to touch on, you guys, is an agent who lacks any kind of online presence. Obviously, in my opinion, since we're all here, is that if you are working and you are effective at marketing in today's age, you really need to be able to reach people where they're at. And almost everyone, I think literally everyone that I know carries a cell phone in their pocket. So, the fastest, easiest way to reach people is through digital marketing. And if you are considering working with a listing agent who doesn't have any kind of presence in the digital marketing space, I would call that a major red flag. Yes, everybody can list your home on the MLS, any agent can do that. And of course, that does syndicate to Redfin, Realtor.com, Zillow.com, all of the usual suspects. But that's not enough to set your listing apart from other homes on the market that may be similar. You really want to make sure that you are hiring an agent who's going to go above and beyond and broadcast your listing in its very best light to all kinds of platforms. You're going to want to make sure that they have a presence on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, that they are savvy with running ads in all of those spaces, because that's really going to put your listing over the edge and get it sold quickly. If you have questions about that, don't be shy. I'm an open book. You can leave a comment below or book a free call with me in the show notes. And we are going to move on to the next red flag. Here's something that might catch you off guard or surprise you a little bit. Lots and lots of agents out there will tell you whatever you want to hear to get your signature on that contract. And in many ways, they are often guilty of overpromising and underdelivering. One of the biggest areas in listing appointments that I see this is actually with pricing your listing. It's not uncommon for a seller to believe that their home is worth a lot more than the market is actually indicating that it is. And a lot of times, agents are so desperate for a listing that they will take a listing at a price that they know won't sell just to get it. And you'll be locked into this year-long contract with them, or however long it specifies in the contract. And instead of actually getting the pricing strategy right up front, they'll let you price it how you want to, and then it's going to undergo a series of price reductions. It's going to sit on the market for a long time, and all of this is going to indicate to buyers that something might actually be wrong with your home or your property, and it's going to deter them. And not only that, but you have this kind of curve of awareness where week one of your listing going live, people are kind of building awareness. Week two is what I call peak week. That is the week where most traffic and most eyeballs are going to be on your listing. And anytime after the third week, that really starts to decline. So if the listing's overpriced, if it's, just sitting on the market, not selling, people are going to kind of lose interest after that third week, especially in a hot market, which we are in right now. If somebody's just telling you, oh, you want to list it at 30K over what the data is actually telling you it's worth, fine. Like, that's a red flag. That's an agent having what I call commission breath. They're not actually serving you or giving you data to back up their pricing strategy. So that will lead me to my next red flag, which is a lack of local market knowledge. And with that, yes, you need to understand days on market. You need to understand price points. You need to understand all that. But what you really need to be shown by a listing agent who you are interviewing is the comps, and not just recently sold. You want to look at pending comps too. You want to pull all of the comps that are under contract, and your agent should, if they're worth their salt, should be calling all of those listing agents and asking, did you have a lot of traffic? Is it under contract at the listing price? Because that's all we can see. You want to find that information out. That's good information. You want to know how long it took to get under contract. You want to know if there were multiple offers. Perhaps there's a buyer that they turned away that could be the next buyer for your listing. So we want to know that. We want to get that person's contact information and potentially sell your home before it even goes to market. So there are a lot of things that a good listing agent should be doing, and many agents are not doing. Another red flag is an agent who agrees to do the listing photos themselves, unless if your agent has an art background, a photography background, has, credentials to back that up. Personally, if you didn't know this about me, I went to art school, so I have done this before and they've turned out really well, and I've definitely gotten these places sold. But you want to make sure that you have a professional who's very skilled. We're not talking about iPhone photos. Yes, iPhone cameras are great this day and age, but it's not really even about the camera. It's really about the set of eyes looking behind the camera. You want somebody who is skilled at showcasing your home and making it look its very best, whether it's like making it, appear large and spacious, or making sure that natural light is hitting it in all the right ways, or at least, at the very least, has the skill set to go into Lightroom and actually edit these photos with the right settings and filters and whatever else to make sure that these photos really sell your property. You want to have a very discerning eye and have a very specific conversation about how all your media is going to be handled. If possible, some listing agents will throw in a Matterport tour or like virtual tour situation where a remote buyer can actually click through dot to dot and see what it would actually feel like in like a 3D realm, like depiction of your house. So that's something that's definitely worth talking about. I do offer this to all my clients, and that's something that's really been helpful with getting listings sold quickly. All right, I'm gonna give you one more red flag, and then right after that, I'm gonna give you the biggest red flag, and it's not what you're expecting, so make sure you stay tuned. So, the next thing I'm going to touch on is lack of experience. Listing and selling, like being on the seller side of a transaction, is actually a very specific skill set. A lot of agents only work with buyers, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I do think you need somebody who's very, very experienced in the marketing space. That is really what they're doing, right? You are hiring a professional to market your home and attract a worthy and able and willing buyer. You also don't want to hire somebody who's inexperienced, because there's a lot that goes into a contract. And if you have questions about a contract and you're not getting sufficient answers, or they don't really understand what it is they're asking you to sign, that's a super big red flag as well. Because then what's going to happen when they have to actually read purchase agreements and read all of the paperwork that goes back and forth between two parties when you're actually talking about getting your home sold? That's going to be a big problem. We also want somebody who's a strong communicator. You want somebody who is answering your questions, but also answering their phone, answering your calls and texts. I can't tell you how frustrating it is sometimes when I'm representing a buyer, not a seller, and I'm trying to get answers from the listing agent to share with my buyer to help get this home under contract and get it sold. And the listing agent is just MIA. A lot of people just list it and you never hear from them again. They just wait for it to get sold. And that's really not somebody who's acting in your best interest. If they're not answering your questions, phone calls, texts, upfront, emails, whatever it is, however you've chosen to communicate with them, how do you think they're going to behave when it's a buyer's agent asking about HOA dues, or asking about, things, maybe the Supra box isn't working, the lockbox, and they need access to the home? Like, if your listing agent is on the other side of the planet during that time, like, they're not going to get in and see your home, and you're not going to get it sold. So there's just so many little things that make a transaction successful from start to finish. So you want to make sure that you have somebody who's really invested in that for you. You guys have been super patient. I'm going to give you my last but not least important red flag for listing agents, and it's probably not what you expect. It might sound off putting, or it might catch you by surprise that I would just come out and say this, but I'm an open book. I like to keep it real and honest. So if you are considering hiring an agent and you ask them to lower their commission and you try to negotiate that commission with them, an agent who automatically and easily just kind of rolls over on that is somebody who's not a strong negotiator, right? Like, if they're doing that for your commission conversation, imagine how they are then going to behave when a buyer's agent is coming at them, or a buyer is asking them to lower the price tag of your home, right? You want somebody who's like ironclad in that respect, somebody who's really going to protect your equity just like they are going to protect their income. If that's not something that they can fight for, how the heck do you expect that they're going to fight for your equity? There are some things, a lot of listing agents will offer kind of tiered packages that include certain things, or offer just certain discounts. If you pay for your own photography, then I'll lower my fee by X amount. So that brings me to part B of this red flag, which is agents who offer a low commission. If there are people who are offering like something that seems a little bit too good to be true, where do you think that money's going to go, right? A big chunk of that commission should also be going to marketing the property. Now, of those things, if you start slashing the commission, what do you think is going to be the first to go? Like, seriously, you can't not pay your broker to hang your license, and, that covers your insurance and all the things that, the cost of doing business. You can't not pay your overhead to keep your business afloat because you'll quickly go out of business if you don't have a place to work, a car to drive, all the things that kind of like keep real estate agents going. And obviously, if it comes down to like marketing your property or putting food on the table for for the agent's family, what do you think they're going to choose? So I would be very weary if an agent comes to you with a commission that just seems really too good to be true. And at that point, I would ask a very specific set of questions. I would want to know who's paying for photography, who's doing the photography, where are you marketing this other than just, putting it on the MLS and hoping for the best? What are you paying for to make this happen? Why should I choose you over another agent? These are all super important questions to be asking if they're offering you what seems like a killer deal. That said, if you guys have any questions about listing your home, buying a home, relocating to the area, anything to do with real estate, I'm your girl. You can book a free call with me. It's just a quick strategy meeting to get all your questions answered, see if we might be a good fit to work together, and help you put a strategy in place for your next and best steps. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that like and that subscribe button. I put out new videos every single week about the Northern Nevada lifestyle, the Reno Sparks housing market, and of course, all things to do with buying and selling real estate. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.